take it too seriously, bear with me just one moment. If we take it too seriously, there's somebody that is going to end up saying this is a bunch of lies, because it is. If you see it from the serious perspective, but if you look it up as a fictional novel, as a kind of like an epic story, a legend, you come with this perspective of, okay, I'm not going to read real history. That this didn't happen in the real world. This isn't IRL, but it is quote unquote a true story, not a true history. Not It is not history, but it is kind of like a story. But again, you don't come with this. This is a bunch of lies, prejudgment, by saying it is fictional.
So, there's something akin to part of this discussion that the NSC has, but it has some historical basis based on my heritage, actually. It was written by one of the national leaders within the NSC, and it's called the Legis Conundrum. It is a semi-legendary description of the familial heritage that is, not theorized, what's the best word? Purported to descend down onto me, if that makes sense. And it forms the basis of the founding of the North Sea Empire. So it's similar, but not the same.
Okay.
I'll actually share it for people to read later if they so wish. I believe Andrew
because
may have seen it before.
I see everything.
because I found a divided opinion within the community. Some micronationalists say that it is not wrong to come up with a story, just having in mind and keeping in mind that it is a made-up story. It is fictional. It is only to give kind of like historical background to your culture, already developed culture. And some others believe that it is something that leads to simulations, to not being serious. And yeah, I wanted to know your opinion, and yeah, I got it. So thank you very much.
Anyone else want to ask any questions, statements, concerns, comments? Howdy, hi ho. Okay, so I think that's everything. Unless anyone wants to add any last little comments.
I just want to add that, again, I apologize, but I just arrived from this trip I had. On the topic of national identity, I think it's a really interesting topic, and as you say, it's a really important matter for all the micronations to have in mind and its leaders. And yeah, for example, in Atlia, we just are starting to get this imperial image, but of course we had a background and we had a reason to be here, to start developing this kind of national identity. And before that, we had the influences of where we live, of my own heritage and its citizens it had and has still. So yeah, it's a never-ending process for all of us who are really serious on developing a functional nation, and one that can last a long time and be around for a long time, and also while creating its own community of people who are part of this national identity and believe in that.
Luis, I'll use a phrase you'll appreciate. It's an identity and a culture that'll stand the test of time.
Indeed.
Well, is that everything for everybody?
I've got nothing else.
Okay, so, alright, everybody.
Who was our next speaker?
Oh yeah, Connor, do you want to go?
Sure.
Give me a moment to change the stream display.
You ready?
You're good to go.
All right, thank you. So, hi, my name is Connor. I'm the Secretary General of the United Sovereignties, which is a micronational organization. The United Sovereignties has been around for a few years now in different forms, but the current one was just founded earlier this year by Gabriel Young, and then after a while he left the organization and handed down control to myself. So, the United Sovereignties, to describe it in its current form, is an organization which seeks to progress and better the community through the communication, cooperation, and civil discussion of its member states and the utilization of tools it gains and creates through those member states to better the community around it. So, example, in the past we've had a Department of Emerging State Support, which we've recently brought back, which is dedicated to helping emerging states, both within our organization and outside of it, gain tools, resources, and knowledge in order to help them progress, help them have longevity in this community, because that's something we see a problem in the community, is that micronations don't have longevity. They don't have, like we've discussed, an identity that's unique to themselves, and they really don't understand how micronationalism works. So that's the goals of our organization, is the betterment and progression of our community. And to do this, we try to bring in member states which we feel are professional, which we feel are able to help us further that goal, of which there are some of the representatives to this summit find themselves also in the United Sovereignties. So to keep this short and not drone on too long, I do send out a invitation to all members of this summit to check us out and to apply, to come see what we're about, to help further the community through our organization. So didn't want to make that too terribly long, because I know everyone here has lives and we just had a fairly long conversation. So if anyone has any questions, you're open to ask.
Um, I think I do have one question regarding if you have any requisites for any micronation to join. And just to clarify, I do ask this only because of for the sake of saying that, again, what we have been talking all this time, we have to differentiate those who are trying to be serious in the community from those who are not trying to be that serious in the community.
So to answer the question of like prerequisites, most of the things that you find as like prerequisites are going to be in our application. So like example, recently in this last month we passed a resolution which calls for any micronations which claim the area known as Berta Wheel from joining the USOV, because, as we all know, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of claimants to that territory, and we felt that to avoid conflict, which generates from that getting into the discussion of identity, to avoid conflict from the various claimants arguing with each other, we just decided, nope, no one who claims that is permitted. So apart from that, we don't really have too many prerequisites to apply. The member states will obviously do their own research. The representatives from each are inclined to do their own research and discuss it with the other representatives, and that's generally how that works. So to answer your question, not really. There's a couple, but...
So, go Augusto.
No, I was going to say terrific. Thank you.
So Connor, probably quite Andrew knows this, and probably Louise. There's actually a couple of hundred Bertwell claimants at this point, outside of the mainstream micronational community. There's quite a few people who try and claim it. It's disgusting.
Oh yeah, like it's horrid. How many people claim Berta Will is like ridiculous?
Especially people who don't reside anywhere near it. Like a lot of Bertwheel claimants are from North America, like myself. And I see that as a form of just blatant laziness, one, imperialism, second, and just why? Why would you do that?
I have another question, and this might actually lead into an interesting small discussion. This just came to my head. What is the USOF's current policy on Antarctic claimants?
At the moment, we don't really have a policy, but I have been stewing over the idea for a couple weeks to do something similar with the resolution against Berta Wheel, to do the same with Antarctica, for the exact same reasons, because of all the people that claim it. So
you see, I would recommend if you go that way, it's something that a couple of other organisations have done.
Yeah.
Only make it a ban if it's their sole claim.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be blunt, the NSC has a Antarctic territory. It was a gift from another nation that collapsed and gave us the territory they had claimed.
Yeah.
But it's far from our sole claim.
Yeah. It's mostly the thing of, like, differentiating where it applies in that case. So,
okay.
But that is definitely something I've been thinking about. Just getting the specifics of it has been kind of the internal conflict for the last few weeks. So it's not as simple as just Berta Wheel, we're across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
So... does anyone else have any other questions for Connor?
Yes, I got a bit curious because you mentioned the emerging state support. I think it's the name.
Yeah.
What are the activities or sort of things that are instead part of the use of to help these emerging states? How
Well,
could you help
since the forgetting my words here, since the department itself is still pretty new, we're still developing that. Like right now, we're creating like an introductory form for states that join the USOF, just to be like, here's all the member states, here's how to contact them, here's their leaders, yada, 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 yada. But we do have definite plans in the future, at least myself, to work with our director, David of Australia, if any of you know him. He'd definitely be someone to contact about it, for creating new projects within it. So at the moment, we don't have any official, like, concrete projects, but as those become available, we'll definitely get those out to the community through our Twitter.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
Does anyone else have any questions, concerns, comments? Ooga booga?
As well, if you're if you have any questions that you want to ask after the summit ends, you're always free to DM me.
Thank you, Connor.
You're welcome.
Okay, Thomas.
Okay, so I was going to quickly go into a short conversation because I need to be going in 15 minutes.
Okay.
So this is a discussion on claimants of particular pieces of quote-unquote terra nullius. So this is the pieces of land in Eastern Europe that the likes of Liberland claim, Betuil, Antarctica, and other such pieces that are regularly and, I dare I say, aggressively claimed. What are the current delegates' here's thoughts on it? And if anyone wants to share their thoughts in voice text, I will happily read out what is typed.
Oh,
I don't think the
With-
cat likes it.
with places like that, Bertouille, parts of Antarctica, like Mary Bird Land, pieces of Europe which lay unclaimed, quote unquote. In my opinion, the claimancy of those areas is just fairly lazy and stupid, because for the vast majority of those claimants, they will never actually have any real authority or ability to govern it, much less the right to. Because you got people claiming Bertouille, let's go back to that, who are half a world away, sitting in their bedroom on Discord. So the idea of even bothering to your ability to govern falls apart right there. Because let's face it, that's the average micronationalist.
Okay, yep. I partially agree there. It's right. That's why, for example, why the NSC's Antarctic claim is ceremonial. It was a gift from another nation, and the decree integrating it pointed out it was an environmental commentary first and foremost. So, okay. Anyone else? Let me go and check the chat. Luis, would you like me to read that out?
Of course, I'm not going to exactly read it, but I think it should be more of like claiming Bertouille or solely Antarctic claims should be like a beginner's micronation, like a new micronationalist that is just starting and just learn what a micronation is and says, oh, nobody has, no nation has claim over Bertouille. I'm going to claim that. And you start to create your nation, and even you have the name Bertouille on the name. And then you learn that there's like 500 other Bertouille nations, and you are like, oh, that's not good. Then that was my mistake. Maybe I should start on thinking on other things to develop my nation, because I really like micronationalism, but I can't do this because this is wrong. Like, it's been overdue. That a lot of people claim this place. That's just no reasonable to keep claiming that and start over, or just claim another piece of land or just their house. That's a good start, I think. But yeah, it should be like that. But for other kind of claims, or terra nullius claims that are lesser known, like in your state, there's like one small piece of land that is neither from this or that, and basically it's like free real estate. You're like, you know what? I'm going to claim that. I think that's a-okay, because it's very obscure. You just learn that, so it's yours. It's yours for grabs. It's free real estate.
I think it also applies if you have the opportunity to claim. I mean, the principal claim that you can have is private land. We all know that. But in case of terra nullius, I think it only applies, just as Luis said, but also I do believe that, and I certainly do believe that you can claim something that it is also claimed by your macronation, just as long as you have a permission to work on it. For example, Prince Louis knows that this doesn't apply in Mexico. But not with with individuals, but certainly if you create an association, if you create a civil group, you can ask for permission, for example, to go to a national park and plant some trees. Again, if your micronation is more objective, or its goal is towards environmental protection, right? You can actually ask for permission in order to implement some programs in some national parks, in some rivers, in some forests. And as a micronation, I think it is valid to say, I have the government's permission to work in this plot of land, although it is not mine legally. I do have the government's permission to plant a flag here, to set a flag here and say, what, this is my micronation. So I think there are some ways to not claim virtual will. I think it is, and maybe I'm being silly here, but I think it is even more accurate to have a pot with a plant and saying this is my territory instead of claiming virtual will. I think it could be more legitimate than claiming virtual will or the Antarctic.
Yep, I agree with you there in many respects, Augusto. So there's comment here from Robert of Elysium that he says, in his opinion, it depends on the context of the micronation. He finds Liberland's claim credible because they've made attempts to settle the areas they claim in Terra Nullius. On the other hand, he says nations which claim these areas and have no means of settling over those areas are exercising their sovereignty. He does not find credible, unless there's nations who have made it clear that they are ceremonial claims and there is no intent to ceremonial claims, and I'm assuming, Robert, no intent to settle them. It's been made clear. I make that assumption knowing your opinion most of the time.
I think that's not exactly terra nullius, but generally claiming land. It's seen by early micronationalists, by all everybody who has started in micronationalism as a what's the name, priority. It's a priority while creating your nation, because you need to have a piece of land to have your state, because according to the Montevideo Convention on States and such, you must, state has land, a government, and such. There's 4 things. I forgot the other things.
So, for your reference, Luis, it's they must have a state, a government. So they should have a territory, a government, a permanent population, and the means to enter into diplomacy with other states.
Exactly. Thank you, Thomas. And yeah, and you have then the example of the order of the order of Malta, who they had territory, but nowadays they just have they has its name, but I will say it's like a ceremonial claim that belongs to I think Italy. They are in Italy, I think, yes. So if you want to play by the real world quotation marks rules, then it's possible to have your state without land. You can have your embassy quotation marks in another state, but your state's still independent and such. So I think we should not these claims shouldn't be a priority as much as they make it do at the start.
Yeah, agreed. Does anyone else have any more question or commentary before we round this off and finish the session for the night? Because I have 5 minutes.
Well, in that case, I guess that's it then.
Okay. Perfect. So, would you like to say your end piece and then I'll round it off, Andrew?
Yeah, so I hope tomorrow has a better outcome, but I think that today was pretty successful, so just thank everyone for coming. Tomorrow, I think we should have a social gathering tomorrow? Or was that another day?
I think we said Sunday for the social gathering.
Oh, Sunday for the social gathering. Okay, so then I'll talk to you. We'll do it tomorrow. But so yeah, officially that's this week. So just wanted to thank everyone for coming through and hanging out, and that's all I got.
Perfect. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for anyone who watched the live stream. This has been the Hrafn Broadcasting Company.